Hello everyone, this is Hakaym and welcome back to another episode of Funday Sunday, and we are taking a look at a battle with the tier 10 IGN cruiser, the Zao. And I will have to say, the Zao is a very fun ship. I remember watching, I believe it was a Mighty Jingles video, something like that, and witnessing the Zao in all of her glory, and obviously it was back when there was only two main lines. Now the Zao is still very powerful. She's very stealthy. That's definitely the huge bonus of the Zao, is the fact that she's extremely stealthy for her tier. Not as stealthy as the Minotaur, obviously, but nonetheless very stealthy. And she's a great anti-DD. Her guns go straight to target. She has one of the best velocity on the guns, and her HE slinging is very potent. Now this battle, it's gonna be a interesting battle. As you can see, mostly tier 9, but unfortunately we have already lost one DD, which definitely is not the greatest thing to see. And I will have to say, I don't play the Zao all too often. It's probably not one of my, I guess you could say, go-to cruiser that you would normally expect. I really haven't touched the Zao in quite a while, but as you can see, this side of the map is unfortunately starting to go down. Now I did actually spawn in late, that's why it did look like I was still sitting in cap, because I was in fact sitting in cap waiting to load in. So yeah, there's that. Now the Zao, going back to the ship itself, is actually getting a buff here soon. At least that's what the rumors are. I believe it's still being tested at the moment. And one of the main buffs is it, and you might be wondering what could honestly give the Zao something even more powerful, and that is her torpedoes. Her torpedoes are fast. They pack a lot of punch. They almost do, each torpedo almost does about 20,000 maximum damage. I believe it's almost 21,000. And they're fast. They are one of the fastest torpedoes. They are essentially the Shimikaze torpedoes, F3s. So they're very potent, but they have a very limited range. Now the Zao can get a upgrade. At least that's what kind of the story is, with her torpedoes. Essentially get the F2 Shimikaze torpedoes, which gives it the range of those 12 kilometers, which is fantastic because if you ever round up the IGN line starting at Miyoko, you get around 10 kilometer torpedoes, and you go to the Zao and it drops down to 8 kilometers, and you don't use those 8 kilometer torpedoes very often. The only instance is going to be in a brawl, which the Zao is not really good at brawl. It's a great long distance flamethrower. As you can see, the Spore Magi is witnessing 3 fires on that Magi. It does look like he does repair, but this is one of the reasons why the Zao's greatly disliked, is just the ability to land its shots and cause fires. Unfortunately, we're essentially trying to at least stall as much as possible. Now I probably could focus on the enemy Kronstadt that is starting to push up, but instead I am focusing the Magi. The Magi's, well, he did use his damage control, so if you can get a fire, it can stick for a little bit longer, but unfortunately RNG wasn't very favorable for me, so that fire is not going to stay for the full duration. So going back to the torpedoes, the only time you really could use them is if a enemy ship is starting to push towards you, and you can essentially use that to hit them with your torpedoes, because once again, they're very fast torpedoes, and you have 4 quintuple torpedo racks on the ship, 2 per side, so it can definitely deal a lot of punch. Honestly, 2 spreads of these torpedoes could easily take out a Kerfurst, no problem. Now, going back to the Zao. Zao is once again a long-range sniper. She can, and is very potent, if played properly, sneak up to an enemy cruiser with AP, and its AP is quite deadly and can quickly wipe out an enemy cruiser with a broadside of AP because she is once again very stealthy for her tier. So you definitely can use that. Now the enemy Kronstadt, I'm not a big fan, and what's coming up here for the Mosfa really kind of ticks me off is the fact that, well, Mosfa is getting a buff on its armor. Is essentially what's happening, essentially giving it the Stalingrad armor. Now the Kronstadt it's real work. It's very potent because it's armor, and I've tested this out with cruisers. Now I haven't tested it out with, say, a Mosfa or a Henry, but with 203s, it is very difficult to citadel a Kronstadt. We tested it out, I think, starting off at 14 kilometers and decreasing the distance from that Kronstadt. And I believe the Des Moines had to be within about 5 kilometers to actually start landing citadels, and the Hindenburg was less than 5. Yeah, it was quite ridiculous with the fact that not being able to get those citadels. So going back to the battle in hand, our team's actually doing really well, sorta. We have 3 caps. The enemy team only has 1, but the enemy team has only lost 1 ship so far, and we have in fact lost 3. So things aren't looking so well for us at the moment. Now unfortunately that gearing is gonna get away. It looks like he is once again spotted. Definitely would like to take him out. And I probably should have focused that gearing down a little bit more quicker. That's probably entirely my fault. But I guess I saw him Minotaur and I really had to shoot it, even with HE. Yeah, don't ask me. I wasn't thinking straight in this battle. So, as you can see, still pulling away from the side, just due to the fact that the enemy team is essentially holding down A. Probably could have been a little bit more aggressive, I will have to say, but it's not so much as my gameplay is what's going to happen kind of near at the end. Now one other bad thing about the Zao is her reload rate is, well, it's left to be desired. It is a staggering 13 seconds. Definitely can be buffed using Adrenaline Rush, but it's still a very slow reload rate. I believe it is the second slowest, Mosfa at the slowest. So it can be aggravating. You have a potential shot, but your guns just don't reload that quickly. So you do have to be kind of tactful on when you're firing and who you're firing at and what ammo type you have, because once again the AP is actually really good. Plus the HE is really fantastic. Technically the Zao has the second best HE. The Henry IV actually has better fire, has the second best fire chance. The Henry IV has the best fire chance, but the Zao has 1 additional turret versus what the Henry does. So granted, the Zao is probably going to have a better opportunity at getting that fire because of those 3 additional shots. So I do switch over to AP, hoping to catch maybe a cruiser on the broadside. I am being careful because at the moment our team's not doing so hot. We only have 5 ships. And there we go, broadside Des Moines, AP away, and we get a citadel, which wasn't too bad. Unfortunately, he did manage to disappear right before I was able to get that AP salvo away. So shells weren't overly accurate, but we do drop torpedoes, hoping he might try to force against us, because honestly a Des Moines could easily knock us out, especially if we are showing a lot of broadside like we are. Now I'm hoping my spotter plane will actually spot him, and unfortunately we're not going to get all our shells over, but we still get a citadel, which does knock him down to around 13,000 points of health. But at the exact same time, our torpedoes aren't going to be able to actually land because of that island, and the Des Moines is in favor right there because of the fact that she does have better arcing over islands than the Zao does. But at the moment, once again, our team's not doing so hot, and also that's an enemy Missouri starting to push up towards us, and there is the enemy Akazuki. Not the smartest choice there, pal. Look at that, 9,537 points knocked off, and hoping the secondaries will get him. There we go, close quarter exit for the Zhao. Very, very nice. Akazuki is now dead, but it's probably going to be a good idea to pull away because that is once against a Missouri, and the Zhao does have, well, it has kind of a trick armor as to the fact that sometimes, for whatever reason, when you are shooting at an enemy Zhao, you can't seem to get the Citadel, but whenever you're playing the Zhao, well, you seem to get Citadel like mad. And that's not particularly fun, and at the moment is probably going to be a good idea to actually disappear, so I am going to hold my fire and try to disappear off the map because we are about to run into the island, and any moment there we go, finally disappear, and should be able to at least pull away. But you can see how quickly the Zhao can take a lot of damage, and of course that final salvo does catch us on fire, so unfortunately we're gonna have to just accept the fact that we're gonna be on fire for another 15 seconds. So things aren't looking so hot. The enemy team nearly has double the amount of ships that we do. We are actually fairly even on points, really. We're only slightly ahead, even though we are down in ships, just due to the fact that we managed to capture their cap relatively quickly. And watch how quickly this Republic goes down to the HE slinging Zhao. Salvo off on the Amage. Looks like the Republic did use his damage control, so we should be able to get at least another fire, but do have to be careful of that Republic just due to the fact that it does have fairly decent sized guns, but I don't think he's actually looking at us. I think it's actually the Amagi shooting at us, but now we're in actually a good spot. We're no longer spotted. The Des Moines that was spotting us has disappeared. I have switched over to AP, hoping to at least maybe get his broadside, and we do earn Confederate right there. I'm actually kind of surprised. I originally had thought I wasn't doing so well during this battle, but all of a sudden there is a Confederate just popping up. So Des Moines is currently facing off against our Kronstadt, and the Des Moines has, well, technically a slight favor just due to the fact that it does have a decent reload rate, but the Kronstadt has bigger guns and probably can deal better damage with its AP. So doing decently well on damage, 161,000, almost 162. That Republic is still on fire. He's trying to get away. There we have just earned Wither, and that is something you always see quite a bit. Of course, he used a damage control right before he goes down, but one final salvo from us and the enemy Republic finally goes down. But unfortunately, we have just also lost our Kronstadt, and we are still down in ships, but we are in fact ahead in points, only by about 50 points, and this battle is actually very, very close, and hoping to at least pull away and maybe not get citadeled by this enemy Missouri. Still took off a decent chunk of our health, and we are very, very low in health, and we have just lost our Shimakaze. So now at this point we are down in points by 30. The enemy team is up at 936, and both sides has 2 caps, so there's no way we can actually accrue more points before the end of the battle unless we actually capture anything. But unfortunately we're not really in a position to capture anything because both caps are currently being occupied by the enemy ships, and things aren't looking so well for us. It's 3 versus 6, nearly double the amount of ships that we have available, and the enemy Kronstadt shows up, and fortunately for us we actually have a friendly Musashi behind us, which I will gladly take, and I will actually be showing a video. Ooh, nice hit. So the friendly Musashi does take out the Kronstadt, which does put us ahead in points. And right now it's actually a good idea to turn around and survive, because here in about a minute we should actually get ahead in points as long as the enemy team does not capture C. and as long as we do not sink or lose a ship, we should be fine even if they try to capture C. But there we go. Actually, we have won the battle. So this is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great day. Zaijian.